Hey everybody, welcome. Tonight we are going to be messing around doing random stuff. It's
Yes.
Bob and Jerry back once again, checking out AI Dungeon. This was all Jerry's idea, so I blame it entirely on him. Jerry, what is rolling around in that brain of yours?
Yeah, so I discovered AI Dungeon, I don't know, maybe a year ago, a little bit less, who knows. But I recently was cleaning out bookmarks, found it again. They made some updates. So kind of wanted to give it a test drive, show it off, and maybe you and I will try and survive a dungeon together.
Sounds good.
Yep. So what is it? Here's the about page on the site, right? It's a natural language AI model. So effectively, you are going through a text-based dungeon with an AI that's generating things as you go. And we'll give it a try out in a bit, where Bob can to help me out here. But first off, do you have any experience with text-based games?
Yeah, I've definitely played the text-based games. So back in the day,
Yeah.
that was all there were, right?
Right.
Um, so the mushes and the muds, Angband and so forth,
Hmm.
definitely, many an hour.
Sure.
Then I got graphical with like Mist, and I kind of went in that direction instead.
Oh, Mist. Yes, that was a great one.
I can't say I've been back since then, but yes, definitely started there. I had a Commodore 64 hooked into the TV, right? And my dad was
Yeah.
like, "Computers are the future. This is going to be really important for you." And
How wrong he was.
right,
Dad, dads don't know anything.
right, he knew nothing, but no, he actually turned out to be dead on that one. So
Yeah.
doing the 10 line, 20 line, 30 go to 10 programming
Yeah.
stuff
Oh, so
was
basic.
essential. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. What year was that? Without, does that embarrass you? You don't have to say the year
No,
if
it
you don't
doesn't
want.
embarrass me at all. I just turned 45. Hooray.
Yeah.
That was 1984, I think. I want to say 84.
84. Wow. Okay. So I was born in 82. So
Nice.
my first real computer is actually started on a Nintendo, I think. Um, I'm pretty sure I had the NES before I had an Atari. But
Probably.
my dad did a job for a guy, and he brought home some junk in a box that I had to figure out. And yeah, this is what he brought home one day. And again, this is after I already had my Nintendo.
Yeah.
This is an Atari 400. Okay, it had the flat membrane keyboard. If you remember these from like Speak and Spells and things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it had a slot here for a cartridge, and it had a cassette deck for backup storage. I also had uh, a floppy disk drive for it,
Yeah.
but storing things on tape, like on little cassette tapes, was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it was a
Um,
really good storage medium. The Commodore had this too. So
okay.
my stepmother's son passed away somewhat unexpectedly, and his whole computer was available. I spent one summer with them,
Hmm.
um, and he had this extensive set of cassettes, and they weren't very well labeled, so I spent a lot of time exploring them. One of the text-based things, and I'm just remembering this now, was a psychiatrist, and I forget the name of it. It was like a woman's name of some kind, and I'm sure, if I had a half a second to research it, I could find it. But
Hmm.
basically, it would be like, "How are you doing today?" And you'd type, and it would then just turn around and ask you kind of a junk science question about that, right? It'd be like, "Why do you feel like this guy is blue?" Um, it's just kind of language parsing.
Hmm.
But that was on a cassette that I had found. I just discovered it completely by accident.
Yeah, so some like early, probably very limited natural language parsing.
Yeah.
Did it pass the Turing test?
No,
Did you?
no, it did not.
No, no.
No, it was pretty easy to tuck it into a corner, and it would just loop if you did.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's funny. Well, one of the games, the cartridges that came with my Atari 400 was a game called Zork. Did you ever play Zork?
I don't believe I ever played Zork. I don't believe I ever had it. I'm familiar with
Okay.
it, but yeah.
So specifically, it was Zork 2. This game was made by some students at MIT in from like 1977 to 79,
Yeah.
and it was made for a mainframe computer, right? These guys would like later go on to found a company called Infocom, which was bought by Activision like
Yep.
1979. You still probably recognize that logo. It was on games for a while, right?
Right.
But yeah, when they released Zork commercially for a personal computer, it was 3 different games, right? Because of memory constraints. So Zork 1, 2, and 3. Like I said, I only had Zork 2. So I didn't play Zork 1 until probably like 1995 or something.
Yeah.
I got it much, much later. And yeah.
So I had a copy of
It's a good game.
Planetfall. I did not enjoy it. I'm
Okay.
looking at
No.
Infocom's list right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember giving that like 20 minutes.
You're like, nope.
Well, a lot of these, it would be like, oh, do you want to do this thing? Yeah, I'm going to do that thing. Oh, you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Not a great gaming experience, right? Um, yeah, for sure. So Zork was based on the first text adventure game called Colossal Cave Adventure,
Okay.
and it was written like 1975, I believe. And yeah, it's got some direct roots and tie-ins to Dungeons and Dragons, right? These are college students in 1977, 79.
Yeah,
They likely played D&D for sure, right? And
probably so.
a lot of influences, of course, right? Um, yeah. So nowadays you can actually play Zork in a browser, and that's super exciting.
Yeah.
So we got it up in a random browser right here. Yeah, we're someplace west of a house, open field, boarded front door, small belt mailbox, right? Oh, the
Yeah.
mailbox is closed. So I
Oh,
should.
got to open the mailbox, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, a small leaflet.
Okay.
Okay.
Read leaflet.
So you could, yep, you can read the leaflet. Got lots of information. Actually, if you see it right here,
Ooh.
no PDP-10 should be with that one. That's the mainframe that the game was originally written for.
What does it
So I
say
think
there at
this
the
was.
bottom, though? We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty? That's interesting.
How funny. So the copyright of Zork is kind of dubious right now, right? MIT found the original in an archive somewhere, and they put it out there publicly on GitHub, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't know who really owns this, but for us, we're happy to, have people look at it."
Okay.
So who knows, right? But yeah, you might be. I mean, this is kind of like early on, right? So you can you just type what you wanted to do, right?
Yep.
If you want to go in a direction, it's cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. There you go, right? Let's keep going into this forest. Uh-oh, what's gonna go on? Yeah. So that's Zork for you, right? In this game I would pretty quickly always end up getting destroyed by an orc.
Okay.
I never could defeat him. All right. So yeah, this game led to kind of what you talked about a little bit earlier, right? Muds and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember any specific muds that you played?
Yes. So the Engband, it was set in the Middle Earth world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. You spend a ton of time doing that. See, back then, you would have to get on your parents' phone line, right? Because you were using a modem. And if you're older than probably 30, you know what I'm talking about. But for those who are not, your phone would connect to the internet, such as it was. But it wasn't actually the internet yet because the individual systems weren't connected. So you would dial into somebody's specific system. And hopefully that number wasn't long distance because you pay toll charges if it was. And you'd sit there and tie up the phone to do this thing that you were trying to do. Well, then your mom would be like, I want to make a phone call. So then you got to hang up, which you got to completely disconnect all of your stuff. It'd be like, closing down your browser, but it doesn't remember where your tabs were. So then you fire it back up and get back in. Extremely tedious, pretty difficult. And again, the whole, if it wasn't a local call for you, you were paying tolls. So,
Yep.
this was also, by the way, we downloaded our JPEGs of Sarah Michelle Gellar. One line at a time. You go to a BBS and you'd be like, oh, that sounds like an interesting picture, because you can't afford to just randomly pick photos. No. They take minutes. So you'd hit enter on one and it would be like ... Basically, you watch it print out across the screen as it downloaded the actual thing and be like, oh, this looks interesting. And of course, some of the pictures would get more interesting as they filled out toward the bottom. So those were the early days of the internet.
Also known as the good old days.
Yeah, not so bad. Played a lot of X-Wing back then for sure.
Oh, yes. TIE Fighter for sure. So, we said that weird term MUD. What does that mean?
Multi-user dungeon. So it's like Zork, but more than one person is in there.
Right. Or if you're playing a non-dungeon game, they would kind of rebrand it as Multiuser Dimension, right? But same idea, same concept, right? But yeah, they were all usually originally dungeons, right? You're running around swinging your sword at people. But yeah, it was multiplayer on dial-up in text-based only, right? So pretty wild. I was introduced to these by my cousin, actually. He had a Q modem. We'd dial up and we would, drink Mountain Dew and play MUDs all night long. Some good times. Yeah, so these were like the precursors to MMOs, right? I guess they technically were MMOs, but they were text-based instead of graphical.
Yeah, I could get into all kinds of stories about the time the Microsoft rep was telling us about Meridian Online and how, world breaking this was going to be. Where we're going to move the mud or the mush out into the graphical space and put a video game on top of that, and it was going to completely change the world with this multiplayer gaming. And then there was Asheron's Call right behind that, and EverQuest quick to follow there. Yeah, it was. It made the multi-user game possible, mostly by most pioneering things do, right? They sort of forged ahead and blazed the trail.
Right. Again, the good old days. And actually, these MUDs, or these MMOs rather, didn't kill the MUDs very quickly at all, right? Because it's kind of a very different experience. Right, even the social aspects of it, you're forced to, I guess, describe and read more, right, rather than just looking at the horrible graphics at the time, right?
Yeah.
No matter how revolutionary they thought they were, they're still kind of junk, right? Especially over the internet, as it was back in the day. So yeah, they just didn't die very quickly. My first MUD ever was actually Toro MUD. Have you heard of this before? Toro?
I have not.
Yeah. You know that word, Toro? You know the word.
No, I don't recognize the word.
No?
No.
So yeah, this was actually a D&D based MUD, and
okay.
Yeah, Toro, the world of Faerun, right?
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. Context is everything.
I thought you were pulling my leg there. Yeah, but anyways, it was like I said, D&D based, and I don't know, but I'm pretty sure this was my introduction into D&D, because I started playing it in 1991, and I know my first D&D session was 93.
Okay.
Right, so this was likely my introduction to Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, these do have a lot of lineage. If you think about Neverwinter, that was a AOL D&D community end game before it was ever anything else. And it's now firmly lodged in the world, right? Its place in 5e Daggone Neverember is trying to rebuild it, etc. Right?
Yeah, that was a different era as well, right? In AOL, you had role playing chat rooms.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Back in the day, there was a
Yeah.
little bit of segregation in the internet
Oh,
too.
okay.
So if you were an AOL user, you could get on
Mhm.
and use AOL things and the
Right.
rest of the internet, right? But
Mhm.
if you were not an AOL user, if you, dialed up through your university or something instead, you didn't have access to all this AOL stuff. You could email AOL people and whatever, you hear them talking about the communities that they participated in. But if you didn't actually accept that little disc that they used to send you in the mail and sign up for like 99 cents the first month and however much it was after that,
Mhm.
then you didn't get access to that like whole part of the world. It's similar to like iPhone. You think about there's this entire ecosystem of iPhone apps that are really only iPhone, iMessage, FaceTime, things like that.
Sure.
But there were no alternatives per se. If there were, they
Right.
were few and far between.
For most Americans, like at the time, like AOL was the internet, right?
Yeah.
For the vast majority. And it was kind of like a weird time, right? Like personal computers were like really taking off around then, right? So this is probably like what, 95?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, no, before that, right? Definitely before that. So yeah.
Yeah, I had 94 in mind, just thinking of when I was living in West Plains and commuting to high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, uh, oh, I missed a step that I want to talk about. Something kind of interesting. If you Google text adventure, right? This is kind of fun, Bob.
Yeah.
And you go to inspect the page source, and then go to the console. Look at this.
Okay.
Would you like to play a game? And it's one of these text-based adventures, and I've beaten this one. Um, uh, what's going on in this story is it's unfortunately not a sweet dungeon hidden in the code of some browser. This is actually you play a noogler, I guess they call him, a new
Okay.
Google employee. I don't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
I don't work for Google, but you're on campus for your first day, and you explore the campus, and you like, I don't know, you feed a duck, and you look for key cards and stuff like that.
Huh.
So, or no, you're looking for your friends. That's what it is. It tells you right here. So, kind of interesting, right? Kind of
Super
hidden
scary,
in
actually. That's
little
all hidden
Google
in
Easter
there.
egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of an extensive one at that.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, you're exploring your campus. If I had to guess, like less than 50 areas, right? So not huge.
mm.
Have you ever wanted to make your own mud or game?
I have definitely wanted to do an interactive fiction,
Yeah,
and we've actually talked about doing it on RethinkGaming's website before.
sure.
But and Choose Your Own Adventure was my jam.
Yeah.
When it came to books. So I don't know if I've revealed this in conversations live or not, but I don't read well at all. I have a little bit of dyslexia, and it's just kind of enough to mess with me when I'm reading and I get bored reading text, and my mind starts to wander, and I'll continue to page through the pages, but I'm not actually absorbing the content. So for me,
Mhm.
audiobooks are a much better way to engage video on times two speed. My, my jam. I said that twice in a row, but that's the way I take in information these days. But back then, Choose Your Own Adventure books sort of changed the dynamic a bit for me, because instead of just absorbing rows and rows and rows of text, it's like I get to
Mhm.
make a decision at this point, right? So yeah, not so much in the freeform commands, that definitely adds a whole different dynamic instead of
Sure.
like multiple choice.
And yeah, there's choices, and you actually have to pay attention. You know, it's super annoying that I'm sure if you have those issues with reading, you would have double issues because it drives me insane. Is have you ever tried to read a Japanese manga?
Not really, no.
So the pages go from right to left instead of left to right.
Yes, they do.
and I find myself in loops where I'll be doing the right thing, going right to left, but I'm not paying attention. And so I start going left to right again. So I'm just going backwards and forwards and catching myself. I'm like, did I read this? Did I not? Like, what is going on? Like, why is this not making sense?
Yeah, so Bob gets annoyed at the dumbest things sometimes, and it generally limits my intake of culture. Squid Game right now, this will
Mhm.
date this for the when this is uncovered by archaeologists in the future. But Squid Game is super hot. Everybody's talking about it. You gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. I can't stand it because the captions and the English dub don't match.
Oh,
We
so
watch with
what you?
captions on because kids,
Yeah,
dogs, whatever, right? So
yeah.
typically we're running the captions. It's an old people
Mhm,
thing to do, but there it
mhm.
is. We do that. But they don't match. It just freaking drives me
Well,
insane.
that's kind of a common thing with foreign language films, right? Because when they're doing the spoken language, they're making an attempt to match or
The
sync up
lips.
lip movement, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Without changing the meaning too much. Um, yeah, I can see how
So,
that'd be annoying, actually.
yeah. So I can't. I have not yet done Squid Game. I will probably turn the captions off and watch Squid
Yeah.
Game at some point. But yeah, so for the same reason, manga, like you said, the whole turning the pages the opposite direction way, instant turn off. Like I never need to read another one of these.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, so make your own mud. There's actually a platform out there called Avenya that I played with. It's free to use. It's all Python based,
Okay, cool.
and it's a nice core. Like it gets you set up. You don't have to telnet in. You can, but it's got a nice web based UI. So I think that's what this is showing, right? This is the web UI. This is the telnet login. You're doing it over command line. So any of your other mud clients, I'm sure, would work. But it's the framework, but none of the content, right? So it doesn't have any of the rooms. It actually doesn't even have a built-in combat system. You have to kind of program it yourself.
Okay.
The problem with it, really, for me, is it's object-oriented programming. I'm very much a functional programming guy, so like figuring it out, I was like, I set it down. Built some stuff. I actually built a script that would auto generate rooms based on a map you gave it. So if you could basically draw out a map in CSV, and it would connect all the rooms for you. So kind of fun little side project.
Cool.
But again, that was a while ago.
How does
But
it
if you want
run? Oh, okay, it makes a
to,
browser session. Interesting.
yeah, no, it's just it runs its own web server in Python. I want to is it Flask based? I don't recall.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, just set up your own server. I had it running in AWS on an EC2 since for a while, but kind of stopped playing with it, so I destroyed it. I killed it.
Destroyed. That's
Yeah.
another thing, kids are talking about the digital dark age. At some point, these servers go away, and you know that thing that you used to rely on, or
Yeah.
that used to be on that one web page you saw once, never to be found
Yep.
again.
Or just imagine like GitHub goes away one day, right?
Yeah,
I mean, some huge repository and lost forever. So there you go, kids. Think about your digital legacy.
that's right.
Um.
Backups. Make backups.
So yeah, I was talking to uh someone on Discord about these, and he had a really funny story about the first time he played one of these text-based adventures, and his dad fired a game for him, right?
Okay.
And he didn't remember the name of the game, but the first line was "You are asleep," and so this guy was going through trying every possible word in the dictionary to try and wake up, and it just wasn't working, right? Literally ended up getting out a dictionary and just typing stuff like wake, stand, dream, blink, open, whatever.
Okay.
uh and after like banging his head against the keyboard for hours, uh his dad finally gave him a clue, and the clue was smell, right?
Huh.
And so it returned, "You smell smoke and awaken in a burning hotel room." So after that, he said he was done with these types of games. Yeah, so a couple things to learn, right? Just type command or help in most of these systems, MUDs or text-based adventures, like it'll give you a clue, right?
Yeah.
But some of
So
them are kind of esoteric.
we talked previously on one of our podcast episodes. Go check out our podcast. It's available
Mm-hmm.
basically everywhere. About agency, right? And so this kind of plays into that. Help
Mm-hmm.
or what have you is your key to understanding what commands are available. But if you don't believe that you can proceed, you're done with the game, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the point being made there.
So it's kind of interesting, right? Like the programmer has to have considered every logical thing that could happen here, and you're going to miss stuff if you do that, right?
Absolutely.
So that actually brings us back to our topic in this AI dungeon, right? Um, you give this text-based dungeon a prompt or text, and it will try and come up with something, right? So if this was really really good, it puts dungeon masters like out of work,
And I've long
right?
said it could be done, right? So the job
Yep.
of a dungeon master is super complex and a lot of wrinkles
Mhm.
to it. The activity of actually running and adjudicating the game
Mhm.
is something a computer could do.
Sure.
There is a GM simulator called Mythic that's been out there since forever. And
Mhm.
not to offend the people that wrote it, but effectively you're flipping a coin. Um, does this thing happen? Yes, no, right? That's the purpose of the engine. And there's all kinds of weighting mechanics that kind of sort of tug the answer one direction or the other, but it could ultimately be yes or no. And that's functionally what it does. So if you wanted to play a mind game where you're like, I'm going to a door, I try to open the door, does it open? Flip a coin, heads, yes, it opens. Okay. Is there a monster inside? Flip a coin, tails. No, no monster inside.
Mhm.
That's effectively what Mythic does. Well, computers, especially with machine learning and AI, could, instead of 50-50 random input, analyze the behavior of people like me and Jerry who are running these games and extrapolate from there. Um, they're not necessarily going to be able to generate the content with the same level of consistency and thematic accuracy and so forth, right? That takes, honestly, it takes a tribe to get that done.
Mhm.
But adjudicating the game and running it, yeah, I think they probably could.
Sure. So after you've said that, let's give this a try. Okay.
Yeah.
There's three slash can commands. I'm gonna need you to help me remember. Right. Do,
Okay.
clear enough. Right. You're doing an action. Say you're speaking, and then story. This one's a little bit weird, but you can redirect the story effectively. Right.
Okay.
Um. So if you're getting a little bit off track with the AI, you can kind of correct it with this. Right. You're like, no, this actually happens. Right.
Okay.
Um. So yeah, these are just kind of to give the machine a little bit of a give them a little bit of a clue. All right. So let's go ahead and let's try and fire up one of these games. All right. Whoops. I have no idea what happened right there. So finally, it looks good. World of Dragons, Demons, and Monsters, very promising.
I am not
Peace and
seeing that.
prosperity,
I'm still
no
looking
thank
at
you.
the about page over here.
Are you still looking at the about page?
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Cat Girl Date? No, that's not the kind of game we want to play on a live stream.
No, no. I'll
Uh,
bookmark that for later. No, I'm kidding.
I'm thinking this one, right? This very first one.
Yeah.
World of Dragons, Demons, and Monsters.
Hey, down
Dark
here.
creatures constantly at war for control of the land. Let's do it.
Fantasy
All right.
Dark.
So
Awesome.
do you want a quick start or do you want to create a character?
Let's create a character.
All right. See what this looks like. Character's name. Do you have a go-to character?
I do not.
Edric it is, who is a male. He's usually human, but a half demon sounds freaking rad.
Cool. Yeah.
Uh, doesn't fit into the clash of light and dark. Ooh, morally ambiguous. I like it. Okay. Class. What is a warden? fighting in tandem with a dragon or a giant. That's pretty rad. A bard, a half demon bard.
Oh yeah, it kind of has to be a bard, right?
It has to be a bard. Okay. So we are bard. Faction. Don't care to learn these, but let's see. Small kingdom.
Yeah, Agadori.
Okay. See, human kingdom. Fight back against the dark forces. Boring. A wise king. No, you don't want a wise king. You want a deeply flawed king, right?
Okay.
Whatever. Major kingdom. An emperor trying to gather a resource army to defeat the forces of darkness. Sounds like a jerk. This one it is.
Cool.
Location. Again, for demo purposes, this one sounds the raddest. Oh, look at that. Kingdom of Agadori. Town's Edge of Kingdom. Yeah, sounds awesome.
Nice.
World
Keep on
events.
the Borderlands.
On or off? Here we go.
Oh, definitely on.
All right, so let's start the game. What this is going to do is first it's going to give us a prompt, right? This is kind of the seed for the adventure.
Okay.
Usually a couple paragraphs, but I've done literally 2 of these games. This was some option in the end there, world events. So the Emperor has rallied his forces and has marched to the dark lands of Kadar. He's led his mighty army into battle and has pushed back the evil forces and has won control over a small swatch of the dark land.
Nice.
Sounds cool.
Good for you, Emperor.
Yep. All right, we know this bit. World of dungeons, dragons, monsters, demons, all at war, etc., etc. All right, you're Edric, a half demons, and you live in Belhor. You have visions of the future, and you see a grand battle between men and demons coming. Unfortunately, no one in your small village believes you. You're often ashamed that you do not have physical wings like other half demons. While wandering through the nearby forest, your abilities to hear the song of the forest have become stronger. Okay, this is bard background stuff, right?
Okay.
You hear music not by playing instruments, but by hearing the wind and moving through the trees, birds chirping, and movements of small animals in the distance. A little weird. You've not told anyone this because no one in your family or village has ever heard of a being with your abilities. Little one who can hear sounds of a forest from across the village. Okay, what do you want to do, Bob?
Well,
Edric?
let's listen to the forest. Right. I feel like we've got a strong prompt here.
Yep. Okay. You decide to head to the nearest forest and see what you can hear. You enter the forest and begin walking through the trees. You walk for a long time and do not know what else to do.
Okay. So this is the dungeon master telling us that we've made a choice that they did not prepare any content for.
I think we should sing with the wind.
Okay.
So in a traditional oh man. I don't know what happened there. And in a traditional text-based game, like this wouldn't even be an option, right?
Right.
There's no way like this already at this point. There's no way like someone would have anticipated like what we're going to do here. All right, so you begin to sing with the wind in the trees of the forest, finding that is very relaxing. You sing without thinking, your voice carrying the wind through the trees.
Very cool.
I think we should say something. What do you think?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to do a slash command. What are we going to say?
Thank you. I will be here all week.
Thank you, squirrels. You decide to stay in the forest and meditate. It's been a long time since you've visited a place like this. Do we want to do something else, or do we want to like start some drama?
Well, I mean, yeah. I kind of thought something would happen. Nothing has happened. Let's
do a story element here.
Okay. A centaur appears.
It appears and it speaks. You're welcome to stay here. I'm gonna go search for my missing family. I return with news every day, so do stay and meditate if you wish. I think we should go search for the centaur's family. What do you think?
Well, should we ask the centaur about his family? Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I was just ready for adventure. All right. Centaur smiles and says, "My family is the forest. I have no one to spend my days with except for the trees and the animals. But your family's missing, right?"
Yeah. So the forest is missing, right?
That's the saying, right? Can't see the forest for the trees.
Right. I like it.
Centaur raises an eyebrow at you and says, "I have no need to see the forest. I am the forest. I am the trees and the animals." Okay.
Crazy, crazy centaur.
What should we do about this guy?
Well, I kind of thought there was a call to adventure there with the missing family, but
Maybe there is.
how do we tap this? Oh yeah, let's do the search. Let's search for missing family.
Uh,
What's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing, Joseph?
Doing good.
A random Joe shows up to our live stream because we didn't set permissions. How's it going, bud? All right.
It's going.
So, Joe, we are currently in the middle of a forest talking to a centaur.
You
Okay.
concentrate, trying to see the vision that the centaur has. You see nothing. But then the vision returns. You see a fox running through a forest in a thick line.
Follow the fox.
Chase the fox.
Chase that fox.
You run through the forest following the fox. You run as fast as you can, jumping over roots and avoiding trees. The fox disappears into the darkness of the forest, and you run on, following its trail.
Okay. Follow the trail. Yeah.
Yeah, keep following the fox's trail. The forest becomes more rugged and the sun is beginning to set. The light of the moon is unable to break through the heavy canopy of leaves. What should you do in that situation?
Sleep. Make camp, probably, right?
Make camp and go to sleep for the night. The fox can wait.
Indeed.
You go to a nearby stream and wash the remains of your bread and meat down. Okay. You find a
Supper.
nice patch of soft, damp earth, and you lay down and curl up. I think something's about to go bump in the night.
I hope so.
So what are we gonna do? Story. How about this? You are awakened by the sound. The sound of what? An approaching.
Goblin. Demon? Okay. I don't know if we're ready for demons yet.
Okay. This is level 1 stuff. You wake by the sound of an approaching goblin horde? Do goblins horde? Some more of an orc thing.
Be well. That'd be band.
What's the
A goblin band or a small squad, right? Yeah, a band of goblins. That's good.
is it the collective noun for goblins?
I like it.
It's a band.
I think so. Should be
What's
gaggle.
your-
Really,
a gaggle.
that would be alliterative, but
They've come to steal from the camp, but they're in a merry mood, singing and dancing about how they're going to steal your stuff.
sing to the goblins. Let's do that. Do that too. Yeah.
I think we're going to disguise ourselves as a goblin
Okay.
and join them in song. You pretend to be a goblin dancing about the campfire. The goblins are fooled and join you in the song before pulling out their knives and running away with your supplies. Run away! Run away!
Tackle a goblin.
Okay.
Gotta get some of
make
those
it a little
supplies
more-
back.
A little more complicated. Let's I'm gonna grab a stick,
Okay.
chase a goblin down, and try to take our supplies back.
Sure.
All right. You chase after a goblin who's run off with your supplies. You give chase, but the goblin is much faster. Oh. There you go.
So now we're in the dark forest.
Alone with no
Alone,
supplies.
with no supplies. Let's cry. I think we should cry.
You cry. You cry out to your mother for help. Mother! Your mother appears before you dressed as a simple housewife. What is it, dear? She asks.
I need more supplies. I guess this would be say, right?
Hey. Am I dreaming?
Okay.
Yeah. How's the AI doing? What do you think? Is it mind-blowingly good? Great, pretty good, not so great, or repetitive?
It's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's not terrible, right?
Right.
It's actually it's more fluid, I guess, than having to guess someone's commands that they programmed. All right, she says, "No, dear, you're not. Why do you ask?" Well, I was dancing, and these goblins came and danced with me, and ...
Right.
I like it.
So just from a dungeon master's perspective, one of the things that you would want to do
Mm-hmm.
is use these random expressions of character activity to sort of pull into the story. And that's one of the things I kind of expected to see. And I don't know if it's a reasonable expectation or not, but I expected to see some kind of meta plot where it would start throwing us breadcrumbs regardless of what we did, to sort of pull us into a story. It doesn't appear to have done that. Like our mother just appeared in front of us.
Right. We kind of had to poke it and prod it, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I've played this maybe 2 other times, and not nearly as much as this. But when I was testing it out this afternoon, just maybe want to do the video, that absolutely happened.
Okay.
Right. So I was definitely attacked. I don't remember which game or prompt or whatever I was on. But yeah, I dug a pit trap for some orcs. They are orcs with a K, not a C, so they're even scarier.
Oh, yeah.
And they fell in the pit, and I covered it with dirt because I was a druid. It was a quick character gen because you know me, I would never, ever play a druid. And yeah, they crawled out and chased me. was pretty dramatic experience for me. But yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's different, right?
Yeah.
And it's yeah, all AI.
It's
Again, doesn't quite pass that Turing test, but I think it does a pretty good job for what it is.
It is. It is doing a good job. And I think it's a neat tool. And I think for storytellers such as ourselves or other game masters that might watch this at some point, it's a good exercise, right? To kind of run through this because immediately I'm thinking, what would I do? What would I do? What would I do? And it sort of helps you work that narrative part of your brain where you're running through things in a very free form way. It's very cool. It's neat.
And talk about agency, right? Like complete agency, effectively.
Yeah, probably too much. Genuinely, like I said, I was expecting to get tugged into the story, and so far, no. And I'm, as I'm picking things, I'm choosing some of the words they gave us and following the prompts they gave us, assuming that this would open doors, and it doesn't appear to have done so.
I think we just mentioned this on one of the podcast episodes, right? Like your dungeon master will give you the answers, right? It'll give you the things you need to proceed or, put you on the right path if they're doing a good job. So it's actually an interesting setting right here. Safe mode. By default, it's on strict. I'm assuming things can get super weird if you turn that off.
Okay.
If that's your jam, you know. If you wanna talk dirty to the AI and have a really, I don't know, NC-17 rated dungeon, if that's your thing, I'm happy with rated R. Like it's my happy place. I feel.
Yeah.
So
it depends on how it learns. If the AI is learning from other users' input, I would definitely not turn that off.
Yeah, like you can imagine, learning the kinks of
oh yeah,
all these D&D players. Man,
there was a time in my life where I didn't know what a furry was, and that is now behind me.
You're probably better off for it. Yeah.
Right. You could have a similar experience. I don't know if you remember the Microsoft Twitter bot. They just sort of plugged AI into Twitter and had to turn it off almost immediately afterwards.
And very quickly, people were testing with it, playing with it, and it got racist very quickly.
Yep. So this could do the same thing. Who knows? I don't know how they're training it.
Yeah. So you can also do, this is kind of interesting. I think it was down here, a banned word list, right? So if there's certain things like you really, really don't want to touch, I'm sure you could put it there and save yourself from the AI. But as kind of we saw from that demo right there, just the default strict mode was pretty good. And I don't know if that was a setting the very first time I saw this. Right?
It's like you can make it read to you as well.
Yep, that is a premium feature. You got to pay for that.
Okay.
Where'd you see that at?
Then play narration.
Play music. That's nice. Play narration. There you go. You got to pay for it.
Oh wait, no, there it was. Sorry, I just saw an option for train the AI. So yes, it is learning from us weirdos on the internet.
Yep. So yeah. Oh, you can change the randomness as well. Huh. And how much text? Pretty cool.
Yeah. Very
Tune it to your liking. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about today, Bob. Thank you for having the conversation with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it actually recorded.
Not only we are live streaming to YouTube right now, hello YouTube, as well as recording. So, yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Do you want to say a nice message and read us out?
Absolutely. We want to thank you, everybody, for watching us so far. If you'd like to support this content, please consider joining us on Patreon. And we've got multiple subscriber levels to pick from there. Or you could be so kind as to purchase one of our wonderful, lovingly crafted products on DM's Guild.
And remember, think, rethink, play.